watch out for the snakes again. Hey guys, it's the Tech Prepper. Just finished up work and went on a trail run. I'm transmitting into the Disco32 PTT for the VX-6R, running it with the MSA Sordins. Stick around if you want to know what all of this stuff is about. Morning guys, I'm the Tech Prepper. Hope you're all doing well. Today we're going to continue our series on the VX-6R, and we're going to take a look at integrating this with a mil-spec headset, specifically one that has active hearing protection. And I went with some older MSA Sordins. These are the Mil CC. And I want to talk about why I decided to go in this direction, some experiments I've done, and how I'm running it on the kit. So this video is not for everybody, but I do want to thank all the new viewers. So let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, so let's start by asking the question why I went in this direction. Well, there are really two main reasons. First, I need some actual hearing protection that's a bit better than these Howard lights. I have been carrying these in my range bag for the last 8 years. And while they do protect my hearing when I'm at the shooting range or shooting out in the desert, they're not great for situational awareness. Everything is muffled, and I had a requirement of being able to have active, digitally assisted hearing protection so that I could hear everything that's going on around me. The second reason is I wanted to have comms integration with my HT. So basically having a boom mic and being able to receive the audio so that only I can hear it. Up till this point, I have been supporting public service events and doing other activities where everybody can hear my transmission coming in. So this provides me a little bit of discretion in terms of received audio. So I plan to use this at public service events, when I climb a summit for Summits on the Air, so that I could also be hands-free so I don't have to hold a radio in my hand. So lots of communication stuff we'll talk about and how to get all this stuff wired up here in a second. All right, so with the requirements out of the way, let's talk about price and budget. I did have a budget for this. I did not want to go completely crazy, and we're going to talk about the entire system. So down at the bottom, the last few videos we've been talking about the VX-6R with tax, shipping, current prices in the US is going to run you about $300. To connect the radio to the headset, you need the or a push-to-talk cable, and that will run you about $150 all in if you go with the Disco32 cable for the VX-6R or the VX-5. The headset is obviously the most expensive piece. I decided to go quality with either Peltor or MSA Sordin. Ultimately, I was only able to find an MSA Sordin in my price range, and I found these on eBay for $399. Now, the battery box was damaged. It's typical in these radios. So I found a company in Florida, SRS Tactical, and they basically were able to, within a week, give me a bid, fix it, ship it back, and it ran me about $100 all in. So if we take a look at what I have invested, we've got $300 in the radio, we've got $500 in the headset, so $800, and then the PTT, another $150, so we're at about $950. So this is about a $1,000 investment. And yeah, you can go more expensive, especially on the headset. The Peltor Comtac's brand new, or some of the newer MSA Sordins, or they're not MSA anymore, but some of the newer Sordins will run you a lot more, especially if you go with like a dual lead configuration. So keep that in mind that these are, for me, tools and not toys, and I have a very specific set of requirements that dictates this price point. All right, so let's take a look at a couple of other requirements I had, especially for the new viewers of the channel. So I'm a very different operator. I quite don't fit in as an amateur radio operator, and I really don't fit in with the tactical guys. I'm somewhere in between. So I live out here in the Sonoran Desert, where we experience temperatures up to 118 degrees a couple months out of the year. And right now we are in our July monsoon season, where we have temperatures at about 103 degrees Fahrenheit with 75% humidity. Now, on a typical trail run where I'll cover about 7 miles during lunch, I will literally lose about 5 pounds in water weight, even while actively hydrating. And that moisture has to go somewhere, and it doesn't evaporate like it does in the drier months. And I have actually destroyed a couple of Baofeng UV5Rs and my previous EDC radio, which was the FT60. So this radio, the VX-6R, was selected because it is rugged and it is submersible with an IP67 compatible rating. So when I looked at this other gear, I wanted to make sure that I had as much waterproofing all the way up the chain so that it would not die in my environment. So environmental concerns were very much another requirement for me. May not be for you. All right, so let's take a look at the headset. Mine, like I said, is the MSA Sordins. They're the Mil CC. And what's cool about this guy is that it's set up for a left-handed shooter. The boom mic is adjustable and actually stays out of my way when I'm running my rifle on the sling. There are a couple different versions. Mine has the headband on top. And what I love about this one too, on the inside, mine have the upgraded silicone or gel caps. So these are very comfortable to wear, especially out in my environment. I was concerned about sweat, moisture, and heat. And these things have a real nice seal, real comfortable, and they don't move around. The battery box is interesting. A lot of people had issues installing the batteries. I did too. It uses a non-standard configuration where you basically have to drop in the battery, it falls into a hidden compartment, and then you put in your other one. And then to remove them, you kind of have to tap it a bit. There's videos on how to do it. If not, just read the freaking manual. In my hand, this thing feels very solid. That's one thing I look for even before I start testing the gear, is what does it feel like in your hand? If it feels like you can drop it, it already has gone a long way for me. So very well built. And I have a suspicion that these older MSA Sordins have a different build quality. Again, I can't compare it against the newer Sordin Supremes, but very happy with this. The boom mic can be moved out of the way. So if I take this to go shooting, for example, you know, I may look a little goofy having this thing off to the side here, but not a huge deal. Now, the important piece here is the U174 downlead. This is a very different cable and is the reason why we need to have a PTT adapter from a company like Disco32. Oh, and by the way, I paid for all of this. This is not a sponsored video. This uses standard NATO wiring, so the impedances are a bit different, which is why you need to have that PTT. So in general, I absolutely love the construction, build quality, and features. On the side here for the active hearing protection, fairly straightforward. There are 3 buttons. Basically just hold the middle button to turn it on. If it's inactive, it'll shut off in 4 hours to preserve battery life. And then you have controls that are easily accessible and felt with gloves. I run with running gloves, or actually shooting gloves, to adjust the amount of active hearing protection you want. So you can increase it so that you can get more audio or decrease it as needed. On the front too, there are also 2 microphones here, and this is what gives you stereo sound. So I can actually hear noises that are coming off in this direction and noises that are happening over here. When I went on my trail runs, it was actually kind of nice. I was concerned that if I run with a headset that I wouldn't be able to hear traffic if I decided to take my course into kind of the rural area or part of town where there is traffic. But it's absolutely great. In fact, I hear better with the active hearing protection on than I do with my normal hearing. So you can actually amplify it a bit. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to throw on the plate carrier. I'm going to show you how I have everything routed and just the basic way of operating it. Because that was the other thing I learned in this video, was how to kind of set everything up. I moved this configuration probably a half dozen times until I got everything in the right place to run correctly with all my gear. All right, so unlike the last video, I actually now have a full loadout, mostly because I figured out the configuration to integrate the comms. So on my plate carrier here, I have the VX-6R inside of my radio pouch. It is connected to a relocation cable by CAATailAntennas. That lead was sent to me, thanks a lot, William, and it's routed to the back using Yaesu FT818, 6 meter, 2 meter, and 440 antenna. More on that in a different video. And then I have the Disco32 PTT wired up. So as you can see, not a whole lot in terms of wiring mess. I still have access to all of my core gear. Now, a few people are asking me why I wear this hat with the silly notches. Well, I found that having this hat works great if you have eye pro or like wraparound sunglasses, and it gives you a good fit so you can cinch this over the top and have it seated very nicely. Now this is even more important when you run it with ear pro. So this is a very snug fit. and I can't hear you guys, so let me turn on the ear pro. All right, so now I can hear myself. That's pretty cool. So with the U174 downlead, the cool thing about this is I just go ahead and click it in place. And listen to this. This is a very audible, satisfying click. So really that's all to it in terms of comms. And then to operate this, I've opted to put the PTT right here. So now we're transmitting, test 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, KT1, RU1. So really guys, not too complicated. I did run like this. In fact, the sheriff's deputies were doing a patrol in the area and I thought they were gonna pull me over. And all they did was basically give me like peace sign, thumbs up, and just kind of smiled because it was monsoon season. And they just saw this crazy guy testing out this gear, but I love doing that for you guys. So the other thing I learned too is that you might need to control the level of active hearing protection when you're moving. Again, I was moving anywhere from 5 miles an hour up to 7. So I had jacked up the volume just a little bit so I could hear everything on the road. But I found when the active hearing protection is turned up way too high, I get too much feedback when running the comms. So really easy just to kind of back that down when I'm transmitting. All right, let me take all this silly gear off, guys, and we'll do a quick recap. But hopefully you like this little tour of how I'm setting up my comms, where I'm going, and yeah, let me take this shit off real quick. All right, guys, so what are the big takeaways here? Well, active hearing protection when integrated into a comm setup, especially when you start to move into the more mil-spec materials and components, will run you about $1,000, if not more. But the way I see it, it's an investment if you're serious about protecting your ears, having situational awareness, and having the ability to have discretion for received audio. So if you fall into that camp, great. The other thing I want to mention too is that this setup, like all setups, are a compromise, especially with the way that I'm running the antenna. And just to all of you ham cops out there, sorry, not a Rubicon, I had to steal that one from you. Your show is fantastic, by the way. But this is the best antenna and the best setup that I am capable of running with my budget in my environment. So yeah, lots of different ways to slice and dice this one, but your comm setup is really dictated by your requirements and your needs. So everything you're seeing here is based on, like I said, my environment and how I plan to operate and in which conditions I plan to operate. So with that said, guys, I hope you enjoyed this mini series. I may do one more video probably talking about the Mars Cap mod so that you can unlock this for MERS, FRS, and GMRS. We're gonna probably hit 10,000 views probably before the next video, maybe the one after that. So stick around because I'm going to give away an iLuence HD1. It is a digital and analog DMR radio. It is also IP67 rated, and Disco32 has a PTT. So I could quite literally swap out this VX-6R for that roughly $200 radio that gives you a lot of capabilities, including some very light encryption. So stick around for the 10K giveaway coming up here. And if you guys haven't already considered subscribing, please do. I really appreciate the support. All right, guys, I'm the Tech Prepper. Be strong, be safe, and be prepared. Oh.